Tape 6 was never meant to be found. It wasn't logged correctly. It wasn't catalogued properly. And according to the archive, it shouldn't exist at all. The evidence register lists 7 interview tapes connected to a single missing persons case. 5 are present. 2 are missing. One of the missing ones is tape 6. And tape 6 contains an interview with the missing person, recorded 3 weeks after they vanished. The case belonged to a small regional police force in the late 90s. Nothing high profile. No press frenzy. No national appeal. Just a man who went out one evening and never came home. His name was Daniel Hargreaves. 34 years old. No criminal record. Office job. Divorced. Lived alone. He was last seen leaving a pub just after 9. CCTV showed him crossing the car park. Then nothing. No body. No witnesses. No trace. The case stalled within months. Files boxed. Evidence sealed. Interview tapes logged and archived. Years later, a routine digitisation project began. Old analog tapes were being transferred to digital storage before degradation made them unusable. That's when tape 6 surfaced. Not on a shelf. Not in a case. Not even in the correct storage room. It was found inside a blank VHS box, placed behind a row of unrelated domestic disturbance recordings. No label on the spine. No barcode. Just a handwritten number on the cassette itself. At first, the technician assumed it was misfiled. That happened often with older archives. But when they checked the register, the problem became clear. Tape 6 was marked as created. Then crossed out. Then rewritten. Then crossed out again. Beside it, in faded ink, was a single note. Do not digitize. No initials. No date. Against procedure, the technician played it anyway. The tape opens with static. Not white noise. Not distortion. Room noise. A small space. Bare walls. A faint hum from fluorescent lighting. Then a chair scraping against the floor. A man clears his throat. Interview commencing, he says. Time is 14:12. This voice belongs to Detective Sergeant Paul Mercer, lead investigator on the Hargreaves case. We know this because his voice appears on tapes 1 through 5. Same cadence. Same pauses. Same habit of breathing through his nose before asking questions. State your name for the record, Mercer says. There is a long silence. Then a voice replies. Daniel Hargreaves. Same accent. Same vocal fry. Same slight stutter on the second syllable of his surname. Except Daniel Hargreaves had been missing for 21 days when this interview supposedly took place. Mercer doesn't react. No confusion. No surprise. He continues as if everything is normal. Daniel, do you understand why you're here? Yes, the voice says. I think so. What do you think happened to you? Another pause. I don't think I'm supposed to answer that yet. Mercer shifts in his chair. Let's start simple, he says. Where have you been since the night of the 12th? The reply comes immediately. Here, Daniel says. Mostly. That's the first inconsistency. There is no record of Daniel being found. No arrest. No hospital admission. No witness statement placing him anywhere after the 12th. Yet here he is, being interviewed. Mercer presses on. Describe here. Daniel exhales slowly. It's hard to explain without making you uncomfortable. Mercer lets out a short laugh. Try me. There is a sound on the tape at this point that audio analysts later described as a second voice. Not speech. More like breath. Close to the microphone. Daniel continues. It's like a corridor, he says. Not a place. A process. Mercer sighs. Daniel, if you're going to mess about. I'm not, Daniel interrupts. And you know I'm not. That stops Mercer. You don't usually interrupt me, he says. Daniel chuckles softly. You won't like what happens when I stop. The interview continues for several minutes like this. Mercer asking standard questions. Daniel answering around them. Avoiding specifics. Refusing timelines. Then Mercer asks something that wasn't on the approved interview list. Why now, he says. Why come back now? Daniel doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his tone has changed. Because you asked the wrong question last night. Mercer freezes. I didn't interview you last night, he says. Yes, you did, Daniel replies. You just don't remember it yet. There is a sound of paper rustling. Mercer checks his notes. That interview hasn't happened, he says. You're confused. No, Daniel says gently. You are. Mercer clears his throat. Daniel, he says, I need you to focus. I am focused, Daniel replies. You won't be. Not after the phone call. What phone call? The one you get on Thursday. There is a sharp intake of breath. How do you know about that? Daniel laughs. You always ask that, he says. Ask what? How I know. Mercer's voice tightens. Daniel, he says, this interview is being recorded. I know, Daniel replies. That's why I'm careful. A full 10 seconds of silence follow. When Mercer speaks again, his voice is quieter. What happens on Thursday? He asks. Daniel doesn't answer directly. Do you still keep the spare key in the shed? He asks instead. Mercer says nothing. You should move it, Daniel continues. She checks there first. The tape crackles. Mercer stands up. Who checks where? He demands. But Daniel is still calm. I'm trying to help you, he says. I didn't, last time. That's why this keeps repeating. Repeating what? This, Daniel says. The part where you think you're in control. Mercer sits back down. Daniel, he says slowly, what is going to happen to me? There is a faint sound in the background now. Like a door closing far away. You retire early, Daniel says. You tell people it's stress. You stop answering your phone. You stop checking the loft. Mercer swallows. And then? And then you forget me, Daniel says. Which is kinder than most outcomes. Mercer's chair scrapes again. You're saying you've seen the future, he says. No, Daniel replies. I'm saying I've seen yours. Another pause. And mine? Mercer asks. Daniel's voice softens. There isn't one, he says. What do you mean? I mean you don't stay missing forever, Daniel says. Just long enough. The tape distorts briefly here. When it clears, Mercer is speaking again. Daniel, he says, where are you right now? Daniel doesn't hesitate. Across from you. The recording ends abruptly. No closing statement. No timestamp. Just silence. Tape 7 does not exist. There is no audio, no cassette, no digital file. But there is a note attached to its entry in the register. Written in a different hand. Interview terminated at subject's request. Detective Sergeant Paul Mercer retired 6 months after this tape was recorded. Early. No farewell event. He refused all follow-up interviews. Daniel Hargreaves was never found. And tape 6 was removed from the archive within 48 hours of being digitized. If this story unsettled you, that's probably the point. Like the video, share it with someone who still checks old recordings, and subscribe. Because some tapes don't stay buried forever.